Wow. Wow. I can't believe they actually pulled it off. At number 7 overall, the Bruins do draft James Hagens from Boston College, and their future 1C is now locked in. It's a special edition of the Cam Show here on Rogue Media Sports Network. I talked it up for 2 weeks. There's no way I couldn't do a reaction to it until Monday. I couldn't wait. The Bruins do get their guy in James Hagens, and they have to be the luckiest sons of bitches in the draft. I mean, seriously, with that season they put out there and just trying to hang on to anything good enough, knowing they weren't quite good enough, sending that final game into overtime and moving from the 4th pick to the 7th pick in all intents and purposes. And they actually get the guy who is the number 1 prospect in the draft going into this season. And he falls all the way to 7. 6 teams are going to be kicking their own ass after the Bruins do this. I genuinely cannot believe somebody out there picked Brady Martin over Porter Martone. And once he was available for the Flyers, I was like, there's no way Rick Tocchet's not taking Porter Martone. And there he is, James Hagens. The Bruins wait till the final seconds. I don't know if it was the technical difficulties or what, but we were absolutely sweating it out. Happy Gilmore on the screen announcing James Hagens. I'd love to hear the outtakes of the other names he said. Unbelievable aura. Just what a moment. It's the best I felt about anything the Bruins have done in quite a while here. Uniforms notwithstanding. It's been years since I've felt that good about something the Bruins have done in terms of personnel move. Like, I was ecstatic, just jumping up and down, screaming like a schoolgirl that they got James Hagens at number 7. If you told me at the beginning of this year they were going to get James Hagens, I would be like, oh my God, they're going to be the worst team in hockey. Lo and behold, they sucked a lot, but they got number 7 and they were able to nab him. And I don't know if they were on the phone with the Islanders or what, but it's almost like a letdown for the Islanders. Like, Schaefer is the number 1 pick. I think they'll be quite happy with him. But by winning that lottery, they missed out on the chance to bring the hometown kid. I know there were bumper stickers all over Long Island, bring Hagens home. And if they had the number 5 pick, he probably would have been there. He probably would be a New York Islander today. If they had the 10th pick like they were supposed to or whatever, they might have moved up to 6 and gotten him. But instead, they get the number 1 pick. And the Bruins, credit to him. Credit to Don Sweeney on this one. He didn't want to move off the pick. He didn't want to move off the pick because he wanted the player. And what a player, man. I genuinely cannot believe it. But the Bruins have gotten James Hagens with the number 7 pick in the draft. It's crazy that he slid that far, considering the prospect he was going into this year and considering that he still had a pretty good year. Hockey East, NCAA, this isn't what it was 10, 15 years ago. This is arguably the best developmental league there is now. And he was still a point-a-game player as an 18-year-old. Guys, he doesn't turn 19 until November. He could be playing prep hockey right now. And everyone's like, oh, he's just a point a game at Boston College. He is the player that we thought he was going into this season. Of course, he's got growing pains as an 18-year-old in major college hockey. But because he wasn't Jack Eichel, because he wasn't Adam Fantilli, because he wasn't Macklin Celebrini, we say this kid's a stiff, he's too small, he's invisible, can't draft him in the top 10. I think that's an absolute bargain at number 7. And as I've said before, what this is really going to do is going to give a ton of hope to Bruins fans because they're going to be watching BC hockey all next year and watching this kid every step of the way. BC hockey every weekend. And Nesson would do a good job to broadcast a lot of those games. I was surprised that Hagens was kind of mum on his future, saying, we'll talk about it as if he's going to go to pro hockey this year. I just don't think that's the way to go. I think he should have another year at BC. I don't think there's anywhere you could put him, including the Providence Bruins, that's going to give him a better development over the next year than playing for Boston College. So I think that's a slam dunk for him to go back another year and be a 65-point guy and be one of the best players in all of college hockey. And I think that would really, really rev up the fan base. And then you get him in early April for a couple of games because you're not making the postseason. But what a pick. Just what a pick. And the experts, who you guys trust way more than me, the experts are all over this pick. Okay. The Athletic, A-, Bleacher Report, A+, USA Today, A, Clutch Points, A, like all across the board. This is a consensus A+ pick for the Bruins. And most experts just can't believe the Bruins' luck that he fell to them at number 7. Shout out to the Nashville Predators. Thank you, Barry Trotz and all the great people over in Nashville who completely fucking nuked it last summer after having a huge free agency and being one of the worst teams in the league. They went out there and they picked Brady Martin over Porter Martone. It's crazy. I think they were probably all in on Denwyer. And when they didn't get him, they just really threw a wrench in the draft. But it's the pick that allowed James Hagens to be there at 7. I would have loved Jake O'Brien too. It's a name that isn't talked about a lot. He ends up going 8 to Seattle because I think they can't even believe their luck because they did not need a center and they went out and got him. I would have loved Jake O'Brien too, but James Hagens, I think, has so much upside with, of course, the hockey IQ, but the vision, the way he keeps his head up all the time, the creativity. He's still one of the most skilled and fastest players in this draft. In fact, Bleacher Report says this is a huge win for the Boston Bruins, who, let's face it, have not done a great job drafting in recent years. Yeah, how many recent years? The Bruins are also in the middle of a rebuild, and having a brilliant facilitator like Hagens as a big piece of that is a huge step forward. You can trust him anywhere on the ice, and Boston needs that. That's the other thing that's big about this pick. I know he's only 5'11" or whatever, but I think James Hagens is going to be a center in the NHL. I think he's a bona fide center who can also play on the wing. Sure. But what you've got for the Bruins, what the Bruins really needed more than anything else was talent. Center is the position they need the most, but those guys need talent and they need offensive creativity. And James Hagens brings that in spades. And yeah, he could probably play both positions because he plays such a good perimeter game. But I'm obsessed with this pick. I'm obsessed with the Bruins actually got to get James Hagens. It is the best pick they've had since Charlie McAvoy, and it's the best move I felt. It's the best I've felt about the Bruins in a couple of years here to go and get this kid. And maybe it was the internet troubles because they couldn't talk to him as soon as he was drafted. By the way, what an awful draft for TV. The whole the decentralized and everyone being in different locations and the Zoom, it was fucking terrible. But it was so Bruins to make that pick almost by accident because they can't even talk about the kid afterwards, which was great. I didn't want them saying something stupid. But part of me has to believe that the internet went out and they just had to auto draft. And the next best available was James Hagens. But got to give credit where it's due. I could not be happier with this Bruins pick. James Hagens, number 7. Let's bring this thing back. Let's bring this thing back to where it needs to be. James Hagens is going to be a huge part of that. Couldn't be happier. I thought if the Bruins did not draft this kid, it would have been a humongous regret that they would have carried for a long time. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Is he just another one of these guys in your backyard, so you've just got to draft him? Or do you believe in James Hagens, the guy who was the number 1 pick going into this year and didn't have an injury, didn't have a bad year? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you love that Bruins draft pick. We are here live at high noon Eastern time every weekday on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Check out the other videos on the channel talking Bruins and a lot of James Hagens and everything else going on in the world of Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air. We will see you on Monday on another episode of The Cam Show.